Welcome to HDTV. You're now rocking with your boy. Feel good to be back to talk. Now, this is going to be a spoiler review. So if you have not seen the movie Nobody, please do not listen any further. I will be talking about some things about the movie. First of all, this movie, how it starts off, it's kind of slow. You basically are seeing the routine of what the character is doing. You start to see different things like you see his routine every day. Every day he's basically doing the same thing over and over again, and he basically missed, and what's crazy is he basically missed the trash can every Tuesday. He always forgets the trash can. And that was funny. And then his wife, as any wife would do, reminds him, honey, you missed the trash again. And he gives her that look, he just looks like, all right. And then, then when the break-in happens, it gets to that point when the break-in happens and he gives a few dollars. He had the golf club and he was going to hit the robbers, but his son made a great tackle. He could have knocked them out and could have saved the day, but we learn later, down the line during the movie, why he didn't take that swing. And that was very key. He didn't take that swing, and we understand why he didn't. Now, the son basically was a prick. The son had no respect for the father at all after that, especially. He was upset. He wanted his dad to do something. He was like, "What the F, Dad?" Like white kids do, blacks, we're not doing that, man. We're definitely not finna tell our dad what the F, Dad, because he either gonna shoot us or he gonna slap us. One or the other, but most likely you might get a shot to your chest if you talk to your father that way. His wife basically is a real estate person. She's in real estate, I believe. You see her face on the billboard where he's working out, every day, stay in shape, keep his body upright. And she just seems like, she's not happy. She just feels everything is content. Everything she does is content. It's like the same thing every day. It's like there's no more spice there. And a lot of married couples sometimes go through this within their first 2 years of marriage. Now, I'm not saying them. They've been married for a long time. But some in 2 years of marriage can't suffice after the honeymoon and the glamour and glitz are gone. And that's what people said. The people said, when glamour and glitz and when all of that honeymoon stage is over, now this is when the real starts. This is when we see if we're made for the long haul. And a lot of times couples aren't. This couple being together for so long, it was like, man, they were missing everything. They were missing the thing to spice them up. They weren't feeling, they just lost their spark. And a lot of times in marriages, if you talk to the older couples, it's the truth. They really lose that passion. They lose that passion to want to move forward. And I liked how they focused on that part. After that situation, we find out that, he goes, works at this mill, basically for his father-in-law and basically his punk ass brother-in-law, who's this guy who was in the army and everything, I believe. And he tries to be like the main tough guy. He pulled the gun out at him, and basically, gives the gun to him. And at first he didn't have it on safety. He could have blew the man brains out with his dumb behind. But what we notice is the father-in-law, that the mother and the son, they really don't respect him. They lost respect for him. The only one who has respect for him is the daughter. The father-in-law and the daughter are the main two who are rooting for him. And that is key, because the father-in-law, he wants him to be the guy to step up to the plate. He wants him for his daughter because he sees something good or great in him. And a lot of times he just was looking, like, I'm doing this again. Like, he was content and he really wasn't happy. And that's what I liked about the direction. It shows you his everyday routine, a 9 to 5. And this is where 9 to 5 workers like myself can relate to it. It's like sometimes you just want to blow your brains out or jump over a bridge because you're tired of the same routine every day, the same thing. Then you come home and you got to deal with your son not respecting you, and your wife just won't give you any no more. You can't get none anymore. She just basically cut you off. She has a pillow built as a wall in between them when they sleep. It's like there's no more love or no more affection anymore. And that really showed a lot of that built up frustration in him that we see throughout the movie. Now, what we notice is that he basically talks to the radio. The radio is basically, which we learn, is RZA. He is basically his brother. We didn't know it was the RZA, but you could tell from his voice, but we didn't know they were that connected. Him and that's basically his brother. Even though they're white or black, doesn't matter. They're brothers. They grew up together under Christopher Lloyd. And Christopher Lloyd, man, I got to give a clap. He reminded me of my dad so much, how he's just so calm. Nothing just made him go up or down. He was just there, right at the middle. He was very wise. He knew when his son wasn't happy. His son tried to lie to him, saying that, what you think? And he's telling him, man, I don't see that. But go back to that point I was at. We learned through talking in the radio is that's the RZA. And the RZA basically is trying to, make sure that he's living his life, being in retirement. He doesn't want him to snap out of it and go back to the old him, basically just knocking people off like what he does. He's basically a cleanup guy. When they call him in, that means the agencies like the FBI or CIA, they basically did everything they could to try to help the guy, or that they have him target. So they said, okay, last resort, we're going to send you in to clean this up. And he's great at his job. He does his job like it's tremendous how he does his job. Now, he talks to Christopher Lloyd and they go down memory lane. We see a picture of him, the RZA, and Christopher Lloyd when, he was a kid and RZA was the kid and Christopher Lloyd was still in the agency doing what he does. And it just showed at that point when he was talking to his dad that he felt more comfortable. He felt happy. Now, as the story goes, we learn about, the antagonist, which was Yulian Kuznetsov, which he played a great actor. Did a great job. I liked him and how he came in. They basically were questioning him, being that guy to protect their money. I forgot their name, the Obskok or whatever you call them. They basically are the Russian mafia, and they give their money to him to clean up and basically hold. And he basically, you see every day, he just doesn't like it. He hates it and everything. It's like he hates doing it. And then what we notice is that he has a friend, his right-hand man is a black man, which is shocking because people are like, he's a Russian, he's black, people. And then they were trying to make a joke about it. And he basically was like, man, keep talking and I'm going to feed you. And he keep on talking, I'm going to fill your mouth up or something. He said it was nice how he said it. It was clean. And it just shows that he was like, look, man, he just showed that, he showed that he basically, he's there because he talked about it. His dad was in the 1980 88 Olympics, and he won, but he left him and his mother there to fend for themselves. So he kind of don't like his pops. But him and everybody on it, man, was great. But we see with the antagonist, V, basically he basically, gets upset, because they keep on disrespecting him. They think he's not worthy enough to have their money. So he beat up one of the stakeholders, the shareholders, whooped his ass, cut his face, killed him. And they basically was like, do you know who that is? He had 3% in the, in the company. And everybody said, well, his 3% is ours now. And they all toasted. And that's when he got the call. Now, before I get to when the call happened, during the scene when the main actor, which is Bob Odenkirk, he played Hutch Manziel, and basically Hutch came home and son is still upset with him, wanted to just little things like wanted to do a project with them, and then the mom just basically cut Hutch's balls off in front of the son, saying like, well, why don't you ask your uncle? And then he was like, I called my uncle. He didn't pick up first. So I just want to get this over with, Dad. You just feel the resentment in the house towards the father. And this shows you that white families aren't perfect either. Like, people want to paint this picture that being white is great, and white families, no, they have the same problems. And if white people would ever sit down and see that black people are the same way and we have the same values, we could get through all this racism and this hate. But I went sidetracked. Now, Hutch, basically, his daughter comes in, and she, little cute thing, reminds me of my nieces. She basically said she lost her kitty bracelet. And she said it was in the little pot thing. So he went to go find it, and he was going around. Now, as he was searching for this kitty bracelet, he ran into a tattoo parlor where the guys there recognized like fake FBI badges and things like that. But when the guy saw his tattoo and how it was made, he knew this guy was of high class and he was some special forces type dude. So he got up and said, thank you for serving our country. He ran right into the door, locked every lock. He locked every lock on the door, and then closed the little opening that you peep through, the big peephole. He just closed it, and everybody just looked like they just put their stuff down because they were scared, because he knew who Hutch was, and he knew by the tattoo. So he said, oh, hell no, I'm out of here. I'm not dying tonight. So he went into the place. He found the couple who robbed him. Basically, you could tell they were inexperienced, because when he was talking to the RZA, he told the RZA that there was no bullets in the gun. So that's why he didn't hit with the golf club, because he figured they were desperate, and They probably needed that money. Plus, they weren't worth it. He could have knocked them off like that. So he went to the place. He came in there, beat the hell out of the husband of the woman, and you could just tell that they're poor, they're not good. Got his watch back, was looking for the bracelet. He was finna blow the dude brains out until he seen the kid. The kid, he went in there and saw the baby was on like a breathing machine. You know, baby was struggling to breathe, and the thing fell off. So the baby was crying because the baby really couldn't breathe that well. So he basically just left upset, punched the wall, pissed off. So he got on the bus. And as they were on the bus, that's when these 4 knuckleheads, well, 5, 6 of them knuckleheads, crashed into something, hitting the bus as well, hitting the garbage can, and the bus had to stop. These guys got out the truck drunk, the SUV basically drunk, got onto the bus and everything, and was being a bunch of buffoons, acting like they don't have any sense in the world or know how to, or how to act in public. So once they got on to the bus, he was hoping, you hear him in the commentary talking about it. He's like, man, I hope they get on this bus, because he wanted to whoop ass. Now, he basically went up front, pushed the bus driver off, took her phone so the police don't come, closed the doors, and he begins to commence in the ass whooping. He beat these guys' ass, and then he got thrown out the window. He got thrown out the window of the bus, got up. The girl was like, the lady who was the bus driver was like, hey, are you okay? He just put his finger up, he opened the doors, closed it, and he began to whoop ass. Now, he beat this dude up, who we later learn is V's younger brother. He beat him up and hit him so hard that he closed off the breathing path from his body to his head. He messed his trachea up, I believe. And he cut a hole in his neck to put a straw there so he can breathe, because, he took away his breathing ability. So he left, but, he left. And the reason he really started doing it was because there was a young lady on there. He asked the young lady, he helped the young lady get out of there, but he was whooping ass. The young lady was looking like, damn, this old man could fight. And she said, thank you, and ran off the bus. So as we go from this story, we figure out V, when he was let's go back to the scene where after he killed the shareholder, he's toasting, he gets a call basically saying that his brother is on life support, about to die. And they went in there, him and his partner, his partner's name was Pavel. And they basically were there. Yulian, my bad. His name is Yulian. The one I'm calling V, his name is Yulian. He basically was pissed off. He was upset. He was asking the doctor. The doctor was like, the guy, he's been in a vegetative state and he may never walk again. So he went to the room where his homeboys was at. He grabbed a chair out the hospital lobby and threw it at one of the men who was with his brother. And he asked, who did this? And he like, it was one man. One man, you out your mind. He grabbed the chair and started beating his ass with the chair while he's in the hospital bed. He just boo, 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 boo. Oh, sorry. And then one of the guys was like, it was classic. The guy was like, Yulian, man, look, no problems, man. But he like, you hated your brother. He was like, but Yulian, you hated your brother. And he was like, man, family's family. So Yulian was pissed off. So now that he basically, now basically he finds out and everything. He needs to find out who this guy. One of the other guys had a card, which is to the company that he works for, which he works for his father-in-law. His father-in-law's company. He got the card. They got that information. So they were like, okay, then. Boom, we're going to go find and we're going to dig up something on him. They find out his father, who Christopher Lloyd's playing David Manziel. They don't know about RZA's character, who is Harry Manziel. You know, they don't know anything about his character yet. They just know about the father and his family. So he basically, they're trying to find him and everything. So they send people to his house. Like he went to RZA basically figures out and found out what happened. Some way he found out, but he always finds because he read the news report. So he called him and telling him, dawg, that's the Russian mob. You going into him. So he sends him to the barber. Going to the barber, which is played by Colin Salmon. I love Colin Salmon, man. He played in 007 with Pierce Brosnan as the other agent, and he's a great actor, man. He plays in a lot of great movies. His scene was good. He got the information and everything. Like they walked in and basically the barber gave Hutch the information on him that this guy is dangerous, and you know, but the thing is that what the barber told him was key. He hates his job. He hates holding on to the money for the Russian mob. But he loves art. He's an art collector. His interest is art. So he got this information. So he got one step ahead on him. Now, this is what happens and everything. The lady, one of the assistant, you know, basically the Julian, he asks her, look, I need you to, I need you to, find out the information. So basically she blackmails this guy, threatening to show some pictures of him dressed up in, you know, one of them suits, you know, the sex suits, and him getting spanked, and then he got a chick on him. She threatened to blackmail him and send this stuff to his wife and family. So he found the information. He couldn't find it in the database. So he went downstairs to the old files manually looking for it, found it, sent it to her. She basically said, hey, you can keep your money. I'm done. She threw the file, said, I'm out. Because basically what Hutch is a nobody. When you be classified as a nobody, that means you're very extremely dangerous. That means you could kill people and nobody's going to know that was you. So, and he's been doing this for years. So the guy basically, Julian, was like, oh crap. He figured out like, man, we're dealing with somebody professional. So he told them to come bring him alive. He told his wife and them, you know, he had a heart to heart with his wife the other night when he came back from beating all those guys up, which is Julian's little brother and his friends. And he basically, you know, talked about some things. I guess him and his wife finally had sex because he came down the next morning and just was making bacon, eating bacon, telling his son how proud of him he was when he tackled that guy. And then he told everybody he'll make lasagna that night. So as he made the lasagna, they were coming up. He got his family, told them, hurry up, kissed his wife, told them, listen, don't call the police, and closed the basement door to him. So this is when he commenced to more ass kicking. He whooped those guys' ass. But Pavel, who's Julian's right-hand man, the brother man, the Black Russian as they call him, you know, and he basically tased them, and they had him in the trunk. And I like this scene here because this was classic. He was telling them like, yo, where you going? He's like, to the hospital. And then the other girl was like, F off. And he was like, man, whatever, going to the hospital. He pulled the gun to his head and said, I will blow your brains out. And the guy was like, all right. So they're going to head to where the boss is because the boss wanted them alive. So while Hutch was out, he woke up, he cracked his wrist, got out of the handcuffs, cracked it back in its place, got the fire extinguisher, was able to push the seat down, which pushed Pavel down, and he sprayed the fire extinguisher to cause a smoke where it caused zero visibility, and they crashed the car, ending up killing Pavel. Well, not right away. He was trying to tell his story to Pavel, but Pavel died while he was explaining his story. Basically was telling him who he was a guy who used to kill people and everything, and now he's retired, but Pavel died. So then from there, he gets his family. He tells them to go somewhere safe. He promises his wife he'll be back. Now, Yulian, now he knows that they're coming after him. So he called his pops and gave him the heads up that they're sending people to come take care of him. And the guy in the front desk, man, why they always got to do the brother like that? They got the big brother up front. He just sleep like he just sleep, pulling the LB, man. He knocked out in the front. I'm like, dude, you are the worst security guard. Why they had to make the brother the worst security guard? But anyways, the two guys go back there. They think they got the drop on the pops, thinking he's asleep. He wakes up, grabs the guy gun, puts it back on safety, blows him away with the shotgun. Then the other guy, he blows the other guy, away with the shotgun. Then the guy who he grabbed the gun and put it back on safety, he blasted him. And as he was laying there, had his mouth covered, that's when the black security guard gonna get up and come and do nothing as usual. They had to make the brother man lazy. It's like, come on, why y'all couldn't put a regular white dude there? Y'all had to put the black guy. So he told him, turn the TV down. Lloyd was like, got you. Christopher Lloyd's character, David Manza, he was like, I got you. And the guy died right there. So now, basically, Hutch goes to where the money is being held. Yulian has the money and everything for the Oshkob. I think that's their name, the Oshkob, or whatever you call it as. He basically was like, okay, cool. What I'm going to do is, and everything, I'm going to just kill everybody. I'm going to burn his money. He burnt the money, burnt the art, took one piece of art with him because I guess he liked it, loved it, brought it with him, destroyed everything. So he basically went to see Yulian. Yulian was performing, and he was in the crowd eating and chilling. And then basically Yulian was like, you got some balls coming in here and such. So basically he was like, okay. And he basically, when he opens up what he doesn't know is he has the C4 thing. So if he pulls the pin, they all die. So him and Yulian have a heart to heart. He basically tells Yulian, look, leave this alone. You don't really want to be here. You could start over. We both could start over. And then he basically was talking about his brother. He was like, your brother deserved it, and he basically sat down and they start talking and everything. And, he basically explained like, look, this is, this is your last chance to get up out of here. You have a decision. The first decision is you can forget about everything, start over, and telling them to have a life in the Caribbean. Or, he could try to come after him and end up dead. That's basically what the two choices were. Now, the one scene I love was in the house when he burnt the house. He played a record player. He basically explained his whole backstory. And I loved how they allowed him to talk about his backstory. They didn't make it too long. They made it short, sweet, to the point. Now we know where this guy comes from. He basically changed his life because one of his last targets he let go, and he found out, the target basically was sorry for what he did and told him, man, if you give me a second chance, I'm going to change his life. Now, he thought the target was lying until he saw the target had his family there, 2 daughters. His wife was expecting another one. He was going to have a 3rd child, and he had a dog, and he was living the life that he wanted to live away from all that BS. He was messed up and jealous. So that's the reason why he started his family. So now we know why he got out of it. So that was beautifully put by the director, putting it in there, ending it, boom, blew up the house. Played the record player. Like every time he tells his story, this is what's funny. Every time he tells his story, the guy who's dying, he just ends up dead like when he gets to the end of the story. And it's like, well, whatever. And he basically played the record player, burnt all the evidence, burnt the house, stole the next door neighbor who was a dickhead, stole his car, and bounced. And he was going 0 to 60. So now we get to the final act where he bought the, this also was key. He bought the warehouse from his father-in-law, gave him these gold pieces. He punched the son-in-law. He punched his brother-in-law in the stomach and told him shit out. And the brother-in-law was like, well, what I'm going to do now that the company's gone? And he was like, well, I don't give a shit. And then the pops was like, shook his hand and said, we got a deal. And he said, now get out of here, man. And he booby-trapped the place, which was very key. He booby-trapped the place. After he left the spot with Julian, he was outside trying to, see what he was going to do. He walked through the hallway of all his henchmen with the linchpin still. If he would have pulled the linchpin, they all would have blew up. So he was in the car. Julian said, F that, we finna go kill this guy. And that's when we find out about RZA's character, the young black kid in the picture with him and Christopher Lloyd when they were kids. That was his brother growing up. So his brother came, like he said, remember what I told you? I'm gonna come save your white ass. And he was just picking them apart with that scope. And the movie was great. And then they just went down killing everything. And then, they all handled their business. Christopher Lloyd was there. The old gang was back together. It was the father and his two sons going at it. I'm talking about Christopher Lloyd. He's fighting with his sons to save the day. And, they kill everybody, man. And they were knocking everybody down. And in the last part, they ran out of ammo. So he thought with his head, he strapped the C4 thing that he had back at the club with Julian. And he had it on the bulletproof glass. And he ran to Julian and pulled the pin and boom, blew him up, killed him. And they got out of there. So the next scene you see, he's right there in the police station. They're asking him who he is. And he's like, I'm nobody. And that's when they got the call to let him go. And they let him go. And he had the cat. He found the cat. We found out who was making all that noise in the attic and stuff. It was the cat. So he brought the cat home and everything. So now they're moving into a new place. Basically, he gets a call on the real estate agent who's selling them the house on her phone. And they wanted to talk to him. So basically, the gist of it is the Russians are coming back at him. Basically, after watching this, it looks like it's going to be a part 2, which it should be because this was good. I think they could make this like John Wick. I think the guy who directed John Wick directed this. Let me see. I gotta see. Okay, yeah. Derek Kolstad, yeah, he's the guy who produced John Wick franchise. So yeah, I think Carcino talked about this on Screen Fiend. I don't know. I didn't even check it out. But yeah, I mean, this would be good if you could tie this into John Wick series. Man, you got you a franchise on the horizon. Like seriously, this was a great movie. And I would give it 4 stars out of 4. It was that good. I like the pacing of it. I like the beginning when they came in. They showed his life on repeat, and then when the action picked up, it really picked up. It didn't even feel like it was going that long. But you got to see the family. You got to see who he loved and who he was around. You got to see the embodiment of them. And it was fun at the end of the movie where where the wife, where basically he was going to ask about the basement. She's asked the lady first, do you have a basement? Because basically the phone call was the Russians are like, they're coming after him. And then you see in the next scene, like in the post credits, the son and dad are driving and they're just talking. And then Christopher Lloyd asks RZA, why didn't we just fly? And then RZA was like, I don't think they would accept our luggage. And they looked in the back, it was all guns, AK, shotguns, they ready. So the next one gonna be a showdown probably with the Russians. So man, this was a great movie, man. I give it 4 stars out of 4. People gonna be like, 4 stars out of 4? Like, yeah, it was a great movie. This movie was great. I have not seen a movie like this in a long time. You know, since the John Wick movie. You know, and it was good. It was real good. I mean, to me, I would give it 4 stars out of 4. It's entertaining. It's action-packed. It has a storyline. I like the story. I like story. I like direction. If it doesn't have a story or direction, then it's like, what's the point? So, loved it. 4 out of 4, man. It was great. And the RZA, great performance by him talking on the radio. I love that. It kind of gave you that old feel of Charlie Angels, where they were Bosley was talking to Charlie through the little microphone. Through the little intercom, where in this part you have the radio. That was classic. And I love the musical score. Everything was beautiful. The music was tremendous. I loved the movie. I loved it. So, and of course they talking about that Nationaler is discussing the crossover. They're gonna cross it over. Nobody in the John Wick, that'll be a great crossover. You know, to see both of these guys go at it, sort of like Godzilla vs. Kong and things like that. I like it. Now, Sino probably talked about this on Screen Fiend. I still haven't seen his review, but like I said, let me know in the comment section, man. How did you like the film? Did you think it was great? Did you think it wasn't? Like, how do you feel about it? Thank you for listening, man. Like, comment, subscribe, share this. Hit the notification bell to select all to receive upcoming notifications. And if you like what you hear, you can donate to the page by Cash Apping me at the word welcome, the number 2, and then HDIITV. Thank you for listening, and we are out. Dizzy.